Hello, and welcome to Belgium GAA Players, a video series where we aim to put faces to our club and promote our games. I'm Sean Ryan, I'm the PRO for Belgium GAA, and today our face for Belgium GAA is Duncan Casey. So Dunk, we're just going to kick it off. How are you?
Very well, Shawnee. Thanks for having me. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good stuff. Straight right into it, and just introduce yourself. So your club, your home, your county, what you're doing over here. How long have you been over here as well?
Sure, yeah. So I'm from County Cork originally, a place called Carricknavar. It's a small village, rural place about 6-7 miles north of Cork City. Just like continuing on past Blackpool for people that are from that part of the country. So yeah, my home club will be Carricknavar. That's there's no kind of fancy name or anything like that. Just exactly what it says on the tin. I would have started playing with them when I was 6 years old, I think, hurling and football. So it's a dual code club, and GA would have been the first sports that I played. As I said, I would have played them from 6 until I was about 18, and then took a long enough break before taking things up again in Brussels. But yeah, they've been my home club. They're a junior A club. They have been a junior A club since I think 1996. I remember them winning the Junior B county final. Sadly, haven't been able to kick on just yet, but they're a great club, very close-knit group of people. Similar to the majority of GA clubs in the country, I would imagine, and have a lot of very fond memories with them. I guess my highlight from them would have been winning the under 16B county hurling final in 2005, I'm going to say, and I came off the bench and scored a goal in that game. So that was definitely probably the most illustrious moment of my GA career to date, and probably the most illustrious I'll ever have. In terms of what I'm doing over here, I moved over here about a year and a half ago with my fiance Serica, and I'm currently working for the European Commission in DG Agri. I'm doing a communications role with them. I'm a web editor there, and prior to that, I would have worked in a consultancy. So I've kind of had the two sides of the EU bubble in Brussels so far, I guess, the private and public sector. So really liking it here. I think it's a great place to live. I think it's a great city to live. And I'm surprised, to be honest, that we don't find more Irish people trying to make their way out here.
Yeah, exactly. And forgot to mention that for what position and club you play, or team you play for, you play as a corner forward or full forward, and you're playing with our football team is all. Sorry, I forgot to ask you that.
Apologies.
That's fine. We'll continue on. So you mentioned when you first came over here, what was your first opinion of the club, and where did you kind of hear of us, if you can remember that even?
Yeah, so just incidentally, it was actually John McLean, who's been involved with the club for a number of years, that interviewed me. I did my first interview for the first job that I had when I came over here, and Kevin Flynn was also working in the consultancy at the same time. So it was just through the two lads really that I heard about the club, and kind of following their advice, decided to go up and give things a go. As we'll get on to, obviously, I played rugby for a long time, but I was keen to give my body a break, having finished up in 2019. So, I kind of had it in my head that I might go back to Gaelic football and give that a go over here, if there was a club and if such a thing existed, which obviously it does. So, I heard about the club through the two lads, and was quite nervous, to be honest, going up. Obviously, I played for a long time when I was small, but it had been 12 years since I had gone near a football really of any description, be it soccer or Gaelic football, or gone near a hurley. So I was a bit nervous, a bit apprehensive, and it took me a while to try and get some of the basics back. But I think I got there. I got there after a while. But first impression of the club was it's just a terrific organization. Really great atmosphere around the place, and I think people that play sport are quite privileged in a way when they move to a new place, because it's like a ready-made kind of social circle already from the first moment you arrive. So it's been terrific for me. It's been terrific for Serica as well. It's been a massive help in terms of trying to settle into the city, particularly the way, like, I came in September 2020 and we had the second lockdown like 6 weeks after that. But I was able to get to know enough of the lads kind of more or less immediately after arriving, so that that kind of very bleak 4 or 5 month period was less bleak as a result. So yeah, overwhelmingly positive first impression of the club, and that has very much continued right up until today.
Yeah, I'm good to hear, and I think all the lads on the team have welcomed you as well, and enjoyed yourself in full forward, but also off the pitch in the pub as well. We've all enjoyed your company since joining. So as you said, you've been over here more than a year. Do you have any favorite moments at all on the pitch? We'll start with on the pitch anyway. Anything that kind of you think about? I know we didn't get to play too much last year, but any point, even a training or match, that kind of stands out to you?
Yeah, for sure. I guess the highlight for me was, as I said, just the time that I came over. There wasn't any football going on, competitive football going on, and I think I only played my first tournament with the team. Would it have been June? Probably. I think of June of last year, maybe even July. It could have been later. Yeah, we went to Maastricht. Sorry, we went to The Hague, and we played a tournament up there. And obviously, that was my first experience of 11-a-side football, and it was my first experience of playing multiple games in the one day. It was kind of a throwback to blitzes, the last of which I would have played at probably 13 years of age. So it was a shock to the system, but it was great actually following all the training and like following, like, going up 2 nights a week for however long that we were doing it over the course of the previous 9 months, to actually be able to put on the jersey, which was a tight fit, I will say. Could do with whenever the new batch comes in, getting 1 or 2 for the larger gentlemen in the club would be no harm. But yeah, that whole day was a highlight for sure. Very challenging on the body playing a tournament like that. I definitely didn't appreciate it. It's a totally different demand on your energy system, on your muscle system. It is very, very tough. So I was fairly bait for a few days after that, but it was very enjoyable. And I guess the highlight, if you were to look at an individual moment, was catching the first high ball off a kickoff, or off a kick out rather, that I have ever caught in my life, and probably the last. I will, to be honest. I think I probably set a few people's expectations a little too high after that, but it was very much a one-off thing. So I'm not expecting to be able to do it again, but it was a nice feeling. All right, I think I got a taste for a couple of seconds of what it must be like to be 6'4" or something like that. But yeah, as I said, probably not something that will be repeated. So yeah, they'd be my highlights today, Shawnee.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you didn't mention the catch from the kick out, the clamps, as I call it, I said if you're not mentioning it, I'm definitely going to be mentioning it anyway. So we'll just go on to the next point. There's obviously a lot to do just off the pitch as well with the club. There's a big social aspect. There's plenty of times you meet up and we're kind of very close together. We'd go into different events and to the pub or to concerts and gigs and so on. So can you talk a small bit about your experience the last year with us off the pitch?
Yeah, and I guess to go back to what I said initially, like the fact that I was able to make so many friends relatively quickly, like, stood to me massively, kind of heading into that second lockdown in particular in October of 2020. So I guess throughout that period, obviously there were no nights out, there was no going to the pub as such, but there was lots of, like, meeting up for a couple of cans in Bois de la Combe or wherever it might have been, and just finding ways to spend a Saturday afternoon together, be it kicking a ball around or just going for a stroll or a run together, whatever that might be. So definitely from a social point of view, that was a massive crutch during that period to begin with. Following that, thankfully, the pubs and all that jazz started opening again in May of last year, and I was able to get to know people far better then as a result. And I think my favorite part of the social side of things is when there's a good crew that heads up for a couple of pints in we might as well call our clubhouse, I suppose, at the VUB where we train, but into the student bar for a couple of pints after training on a Thursday. I really like doing that. I think it's just a great way to get to know new lads, a great way to have conversations with fellas you mightn't have gotten to catch up with much over the previous few weeks or months. And yeah, there was a good crew of us there last week for kind of our first Thursday back. Sorry, so that's probably my favorite element of it. But my kind of individual highlight off the pitch would be something you played a significant role in yourself. Was the crew of us that went to Paradise City Festival last August, I think it was. It last August, I think. It was
August. Yeah.
August, yeah. So, Shawnee, you can take credit for assembling the troops for that. And I think there were about 9 or 10 of us, I think, between from kind of the football and the hurling crew that went and enjoyed that the first festival in Belgium post lockdown. So that was probably the highlight off the field. But I'm hoping to add to that collection of memories very much so the next coming months.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you as well. In the last 2 years, kind of the first festival that was back that we all could go to, and I thought it was perfect. The sun was shining. There was plenty of beers and all this, and there was a heap of us going as well. I thought it was great. So yeah, obviously I'm not going to just finish up the last question for you, or the point would be that obviously GAA, as you said, wasn't kind of your main thing as an adult. You've obviously played rugby at a high level, so just for yourself to go into maybe some of the differences, but also maybe some of the similarities to it.
Yeah, it's been really interesting, to be honest, to come back to GAA after such a big gap and to have been playing in other sports so seriously for such a long time. It's kind of like I alluded to earlier, talking about playing the tournament that time. Like, it's a completely different demand on your body, a completely different use of energy systems, and it's I guess the biggest difference is the level of contact, for sure. Like, as you know, Shawnee, I went back to start playing rugby again recently, just this side of Christmas, just into the new year. So I've only played a couple of games with the lads there. But like, even though it's obviously like it's a far lower level than the level of club rugby that you would have in Ireland, and we're playing in the 3rd division of the Belgian league. So it's not the elite level of Belgian rugby either. But even at that, despite the fact that, you know, generally speaking, the guys tend to be smaller, the collisions tend to be less fierce. My shoulders are just broken up constantly. So from that point of view, that's the big difference between the two sports. But also from like an aerobic conditioning point of view, the football is obviously far more demanding. It's terrific. Like, it's such a terrific run around, like, to be honest, and it does get the lungs going to a far greater extent than the rugby would, I find. It's that kind of, I guess, that thing of constantly being in motion, particularly when we're playing reduced numbers and the pitch is bigger. The pitch is smaller than it would be at home, but you have more space to cover if you're playing 11 aside. So you're constantly on the move, and you're constantly making runs that you're not necessarily getting any reward for. So it's tough going, and even we usually train on half the pitch in the VUB, as you know yourself. But even at that, like, if you've got, you know, 16 or 18 lads playing like attack and defense in half of a rugby pitch, even at that, in that limited amount of space with that many bodies, you still would be blowing very much after an hour of running around on it. So I think I've always been a believer that there's plenty of scope for crossover between the two sports, and I think the two sports can learn a lot from one another. Football, I think, can look to bring some of the contact work in from rugby, and rugby, I think, the energy systems aren't necessarily trained in the best way all the time. So I think we could definitely tap into the aerobic conditioning work that is such a staple of GAA.
No, yeah, that's very interesting. Like, I don't think I've ever even tried rugby, but you're a braver man than I am. But you possibly might say the same thing for the footballers and hurlers at the club as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, very quick question, and just when coming over to Belgium, what would be your favorite Belgian beer?
Yeah, so I'm a complete basic bitch when it comes to Belgian beer, and it's completely lost on me. So for me, it's Jupiter. It's basically it's the closest thing to the piss you can get out of a tap at home. So for that reason, yeah, the lighter the better for me. It's a shame, really, but yeah, anything above 5.5%, it's a struggle for me. I take no pleasure from it. So
no, that's I can see that it would be my go-to beer when you don't want to go too mad, but Yeah, it's debatable as well. So I won't agree with you there, but I won't necessarily disagree with you. Right. So that's kind of all for this episode with the players' profiles. I want to thank Dunk for joining me today. Kind of first episode, get the ball rolling on this, and hopefully we can have more player profiles to get a face to the club. So I just want to take this last chance then to let everyone know the training start back in all our codes with hurling football, ladies football and camogie. If anyone wants to join, they're more than welcome to join me in Dunk or to join any of the women on the club. They can do so by reaching out to social media channels or giving myself an email, pro.belgium.europe@ga.ie. So Dunk, thanks very much for joining.
My pleasure, Shawnee. Thanks for having me.
No bother. So I'll talk to you all again, and have a good week.